Hello, the Pioneer viewers. How are you doing? I hope you're healthy and well. As the Pioneer team, we are here again with a remarkable title. As we often express, Russian losses on the front line have reached an incredible levels. In fact, it would not be wrong to state that this dimension is now unbearable, because the information we obtained from Ukrainian sources in the past days and then confirmed by the Russian sources reveals that a new one has been added to the incredible losses in the Russian army. The loss in question is related to the air force of the Russian army. With the data published by Anton Gerashchenko, an advisor to the Ukrainian Interior Ministry, we learned that one of the airborne officers of the Russian army lost his life. In addition, data from the Russian sources confirmed that the officer was destroyed. There are various data on how the officer lost his life. Let's analyze the developments together. As the Pioneer team, we continue to bring the details of the Russia-Ukraine war to your screens. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so as not to miss our daily map reports and reports on the agenda. I also read all your comments on our videos. Please continue to express your opinion about our content in the comments. Let's start if you are ready. The Pioneer reports. As we mentioned, the Russian Air Forces was shaken by a very big loss. The loss that shook the Russian Air Force was Colonel Arman Ospanov. According to the reports, Colonel Arman Ospanov lost his life on the Kherson front. However, there are many different claims about his loss of life. As we mentioned, it was Anton Gerashchenko, spokesman for the Ukrainian Interior Ministry, who shared the first report on Colonel Ospanov. Gerashchenko used the following statements in his social media post on the subject. Russian Telegram channels reported that the Russian colonel and head of the Russian Air Force Armored Service, Arman Ospanov, went to the occupied territory of Ukraine to raise the morale of the Russian personnel. Then he stepped on the mine planted by our troops and died. Following Gerashchenko's statements, Russian sources also started to make posts confirming the incident. This is the first time that the Russian sources have confirmed the information so quickly. The probable reason for this is the reactions against the Russian war leadership, because the Russian war leadership usually hides the facts and distracts both the Russian public opinion and the world public opinion. However, in the long run, this harms the Russian Federation. Russian unofficial sources are also aware of this. Therefore, they are trying to restore the deteriorating image of the Russian Federation. The statements of the Russian sources on the subject are as follows. We learned yesterday that the hero Colonel Arman Ospanov lost his life, but we were waiting for the family to be informed. Unfortunately, our good comrade Colonel Arman Ospanov lost his life at the front. He fulfilled his military duty to the end. This is a great loss for all the paratroopers because Ospanov was the head of the Air Armored Service. We will report the circumstances of the incident later when we have the permission and know, and it will not harm anyone. There is another interesting detail about Ospanov. As we reported in the previous reports, there is a great tension between General Mikhail Teplinsky, who commands the Russian troops in the Kherson region, and Vladimir Putin, the president of the Russian Federation. According to the allegations, the Russian officer who lost his life, Colonel Arman Ospanov, was one of the closest friends of General Mikhail Teplinsky. The allegations about the last moments of the colonel who lost his life also raised some doubts about this issue. According to the Russian sources and the statements of the Anton Gerashchenko, advisor to the Ukrainian Interior Ministry, Colonel Ospanov died during a mine explosion. According to some Russian sources, Colonel Ospanov came across a Russian armored vehicle stranded in the area. The colonel was helping to rescue the armored vehicles from the standard area. Meanwhile, Ukrainian artillery started firing. According to these allegations, Colonel Ospanov was destroyed during the shelling of the Ukrainian artillery units. At the same time, according to these allegations, Ospanov was not the only Russian officer destroyed during this attack. Sergeant Alexander Anatolyevich, one of the commanders of the 104th Airborne Division of the Russian Air Force, was also present during this attack and was killed during the shelling of the Ukrainian artillery. In addition to the colonel and the sergeant, some Russian sources claim that 2 Russian soldiers from the same division were also killed during these artillery attacks in the area. These allegations have not yet been confirmed. Russian airborne paratroopers are known as the most formidable fighters of the Russian army. However, it is often stated that these fearsome fighters have suffered very high casualties during the 2 years of the war. In recent months, General Teplinsky, the commander of the troops in the region, also touched on this issue and announced that 8,500 of the Russian paratroopers lost their lives during the war. Another statement on the subject is based on the UK intelligence reports. According to the UK intelligence reports, Russia's 104th Airborne Division suffered exceptionally heavy losses during the war. Mikhail Zivnichuk, a former Kremlin military press agent, also claimed that at the beginning of the last year, the Russian Air Force had lost about 40% of its personnel since the first day began to operate on the front line. It should be noted that the losses of the paratroopers are not only caused by the return fire. Parachuting accidents are also a major factor in the high losses of the paratroopers. However, another factor in the loss of the paratroopers in the Russian army is friendly fire. Recently, a Russian source shared a very remarkable report on this issue. According to this report, 2 Russian paratroopers died as a result of an enormous shot by the Russian air defense systems during a military training exercise. Losses are increasing in the Russian army. It would not be wrong to say that the morale is so bad. Of course, this situation also prevents the Russian army from maintaining order in the regions it occupies. Therefore, the administration of the Russian Federation seems to have taken a new measures related to this issue. According to the allegations, Vladimir Putin, the head of the state of the Russian Federation, sent the Russian National Guard to the occupied territories in case the Russian army could not maintain order in the occupied territories. The statement of the Ukrainian Resistance Center on the subject is as follows. There are deploying Rose Guards, the Russian National Guard, in the occupied territories to suppress Ukrainian civil resistance by the filtering activities among the civilian population and identifying members of the underground movement. In addition to conducting actual combat operations against the civil population, Rose Guard employees are actively involved in the propaganda activities in the educational institutions. They also play the role of projection of the force, constantly patrolling populated areas in the armored combat vehicles and in the full equipment. As can be seen, some of the problems in the Russian army continue to manifest themselves in the other areas. Ukrainian insurgents should make the most of these opportunities. If the Ukrainian resistance in the occupied territories seizes these opportunities, the Ukrainian army will be able to move more easily to the next counteroffensive. Tell me, what do you think? Which of the allegations about the Colonel Uspanov is true? How would the loss of the Uspanov affect the Russian army? What do you think about the deployment of the Rose Guard in the occupied territories? Let me know in the comments. I read and care about all your comments.